He represents what's left of good white males in the franchise, certainly, a demographic that in the real world has constantly been outcasted and shunned from our society.
I think I might have found the worst video on the Star Wars sequels that I've ever seen. We are finally covering No BS. In particular, his video called SJW Moments in Star Wars The Last Jedi. And I need to warn you guys, this video is truly horrendous. I've responded to a lot of videos criticizing the sequels and explaining why I don't believe they're as bad as people say, but at least in those videos, I'm not necessarily objectively right. It's mainly a difference in opinion, but this video is just factually and morally incorrect pretty much the whole way through. He criticizes The Last Jedi for being too political, specifically too driven by left-wing agendas like feminism and diversity. What? Now this is incredibly ironic since the Star Wars sequels are like comparatively bland when it comes to politics. There are pretty much no political themes whatsoever. I mean, we can compare them to the original trilogy, which depicts a conflict between multi-ethnic progressive revolutionaries and a fascist imperialist state. And according to George Lucas, the movies are inspired by the Vietnam War. Then there's the prequel trilogy, which shows us the origins of said fascist imperialist state, showcasing how fascism can rise out of even liberal democracy if militarism is the leading force behind political discourse. If you compare these to the sequels, then you'll see just how void of politics they really are. Canto Bight is the only scene that possibly has some political undertone, but it's quite minor and self-contained, and it's just a reflection of the rich elite. I mean, it makes sense too. Disney is a mega corporation that wants more money, and they know that making their movies too political would greatly hurt their income. They played it safe when it came to politics, but somehow this man-child thinks the movie is ruined by the SJWs. And hey, listen, I'm not trying to paint Disney out to be saints. They've done some very sketchy stuff in the past, and I don't think they're innocent. However, that has nothing to do with The Last Jedi and the topic of this video. Anyways, enough rambling, let's just get into it.
Let's start with the overly diverse casting, something that's been painstakingly present in all three of the new Star Wars movies made under Disney. Things are so diverse and multicultural now, it's kind of distracting, if we're being honest. Luckily, the cast is good in The Last Jedi. They're all talented actors, but unfortunately, they're not given much to work with here, story-wise. They do their best, but sometimes your best isn't good enough.
How is the diversity of races in the cast of the movie distracting? Star Wars is set in a galaxy filled with millions of different species, but apparently, every human has to be white. How does that even make sense? Honestly, this level of ignorance is comparable to people who believe the Earth is the center of the universe. I'm sorry to say, but representation and diversity is not a left-wing agenda. Fox News, for example, is, yes, mostly made out of white men and women, but there are still black people in their shows. There are Latin people, there are Asian people, all sorts of different races and genders, and I wouldn't necessarily say that Fox News has a leftist agenda. It's just people who look different. There's nothing inherently political about representation in one's cast, unless it's like mentioned and actually affects the story, which in this case, it doesn't. Neither gender or race is mentioned at all during the trilogy, other than pronouns to address the person. Like you say, the cast is very talented, so what's the fucking problem? Just watch the movie and criticize it like a normal human being.
Many complain about the original movie being almost only white, and that was in 1977, when the country itself was still mostly white. And now as the times changed and diversity has become our supposed strength, so too has Star Wars, and its characters have diversified, clearly. One caveat to throw in there would, of course, be the demonization of white males, who in the new movies are almost exclusively all the villains and evil characters. And on the flip side, minorities and women are all the best and coolest characters.
Now he raises the point that the original Star Wars movies were almost entirely made out of white people, and yes, this is true, and it's completely fine. No one is saying otherwise. But also, it's okay that these newer movies have diverse casts. But now the funniest thing about this clip is when he says the demonization of white males.
One caveat to throw in there would, of course, be the demonization of white males.
Listen man, could you seriously not find a single photo of Kylo Ren and Hux where Captain Phasma isn't there? Without her mask, showing what a complete fucking idiot you are? Was that not possible? He says that white males are being targeted by this movie because they either play the villains or the grumpy old man who gets beaten up by a girl. But he just brushes past the fact that white men are still the majority of the cast compared to any other group, that the old grumpy man is actually Luke Skywalker, the hero of the movie who goes through a character arc and saves the day, and that they literally show a white slave boy who symbolizes the new generation of Jedi at the end of the movie. The only point I can't fully argue against is that Kylo Ren A white man is a villain? But so what? Why does it matter? Plus, I know this video is about The Last Jedi, but these movies end with this demonized white male having a redemption arc and being one of the more complex characters of the whole trilogy. Listen, there is nothing inherently feminist about the Star Wars sequels. The only reason as to why people say that there's a feminist agenda is because the main character is female, that there are some women in high positions, and because Kathleen Kennedy wore a shirt that says the Force is female, which by the way, has nothing to do with what happens in The Last Jedi. You know what? There are still way more men than there are women. But oh, I'm sorry, some of them aren't white. I completely forgot. You're racist. No, but on a real, gender is never even mentioned in the movie. It makes no difference to the story whatsoever whether or not Rey was a girl, or a boy, or non-binary, or whatever other identity. It makes no difference. It would make no difference if you were to change the gender of every single character in the movie. How can it be feminist if gender isn't even a fucking theme in the movie? Oh god, I think this video might be the closest I've ever been to losing my fucking mind. And we've covered some proper bullshit before.
Next, let's go through each character, who has their own sorts of SJW social justice angles themselves. Starting with Kylo Ren, who is pretty much the embodiment of an emo millennial. He's angry, troubled, always complaining, has no dad, and is a bit of a mama's boy. Remember, he couldn't get himself to kill his mom in this movie, the beginning, while in The Force Awakens he quite easily slaughtered his father, Han Solo. Top that off with the fact that him and Hux are the only white male main characters, and they're also evil assholes. And well, put all that together, and you could see the SJWs in the writer's room had a pretty clear agenda.
Folks, you heard it here first. It is now SJW to be emo. What? This is such a reach, and it doesn't even make sense. Kylo Ren is not a mama's boy, just because he doesn't kill his mom after killing his dad. The reason he couldn't kill his mom is actually because he just killed his dad, and he's been tormented by the fact ever since. And he didn't quite easily kill Han Solo. You could see that it was a struggle, and that he actually suffered for it afterwards. Also, would a mama's boy abandon his mother, her ideals, and what she's fought for her whole life, and try to destroy it? Did you even watch the movies?
Moving down the main cast, we've of course got Rey, who's this unstoppable Mary Sue character. Sure, she's white too, but she's a woman, so she gets an SJW pass. It really gets frustrating though, seeing how overpowered they've made her. I mean, making a chick the main character is one thing, but making her strong enough to both defeat Kylo Ren and Luke Skywalker, who are well trained and she has no training, that's a bit of a stretch. She also lifts those rocks with the force powers at the end to free the resistance. Again, with little to no training. I think she spent like a day grinding with Luke and that was about it. And then she pulls off this lifting rocks feat, which is something Luke Skywalker did in Empire, but it seemed like it took him days and weeks and much more harder training to do it.
Rey beating Kylo Ren and Luke is not because she's stronger or more skilled than them. She only beats Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens because of the circumstances. It's similar to Revenge of the Sith. Anakin was more powerful than Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan still won due to taking advantage of the circumstances. Those being his knowledge of Anakin's fighting style, having trained him, and the fact that Anakin was literally broken on the inside and falling apart after having killed everyone and everything he ever knew. The circumstances in this fight are that Kylo Ren literally just killed his father, was shot by a Wookiee bowcaster, and wasn't even trying to kill Rey. If you want a deeper analysis of why this fight makes sense, go watch this video, it explains everything. But the fact of the matter is, Rey didn't win because she was stronger, but rather because the circumstances were in her favor. And when Rey fights Luke, you can clearly see that he's far beyond her in terms of skill all the way throughout. Until Rey pulls out a lightsaber. Luke was using a metal pole. It's like in Game of Thrones Season 1 when Syrio Forel is fighting against Meryn Trant. Syrio is so much more skilled than Meryn fucking Trant, but Meryn fucking Trant had a big ass sword, Syrio Forel had a wooden stick. So again, Rey didn't win because she was more skilled. And the whole part about training is also mostly wrong. Rey has used melee weapons her whole life. Obviously, she can at least wield a lightsaber to an okay extent. Yes, her moving the rocks is quite sudden, but she's also naturally pretty strong with the Force, since she's the light side of the Force that has risen to counter Ben Solo, who has Skywalker blood. Naturally, the Force within Rey is going to be powerful. And also, since she's the main fucking character of a Star Wars movie, her being powerful is not abnormal. If we go back to The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda literally says do or do not. There is no try. It's much more about the mental state and just accepting the Force being a part of it rather than having trained rigorously. Yes, training makes you stronger, but it doesn't determine whether or not you can use the Force. Luke destroyed the Death Star with the use of the Force in a desperate situation, and Rey lifted some boulders in a desperate situation. Neither of them tried, They just did. I feel like I'm analyzing this way too much, but I'm just trying to point out how utterly ridiculous and absurd his arguments are, and how easily they crumble when put to the test. Now in this next part he talks about Luke, and instead of showing you the whole clip, which is mostly irrelevant, I'll just leave you with this.
He's shown as this old coot in this movie, which is fine, but I'm starting to think he's a bit of a scapegoat here. He represents what's left of good white males in the franchise, certainly. A demographic that in the real world has constantly been outcasted and shunned from our society, especially lately.
This is one of the most fragile things I've ever heard. If you truly believe this is true, then I don't know what to tell you. You might be too far gone, or this is just a grift. I honestly can't tell. Then he talks about Finn and Rose being the token black and Asian characters, and despite his obvious problem with black people and Asian people, I can't really say anything against the rest of this section. He just says that Finn's storyline is unnecessary and lacking, and without any reasoning it just becomes an opinion, and he has the right for an opinion. So yeah, that's fine.
Despite having a bigger role though, Poe is also ultimately cucked too. When he's not only constantly chastised for being brave and making bold moves on the battlefield, he's also kept out of the loop of the Resistance main battle plan.
Poe was kept out of the battle plans because he went against Leia's orders several times and got a ton of people killed. Even if they did destroy the Dreadnought, he still disobeyed direct orders. Holdo leaving Poe out of the plans and calling him reckless is because he literally just got demoted for being reckless. It's not an agenda against white men, and if you truly believe that, then you're a snowflake. Also, I purposefully stopped the video before he finished his sentence because I wanted to quickly address the Poe thing before he goes on to say this.
By none other than Holdo, the literal pink-haired lesbian feminist in the movie. Again, not kidding. Played by Laura Dern, Admiral Holdo not only is another female in charge for the good guys, like General Leia, she's also pink-haired and hinted to have a romantic lesbian relationship with Leia.
I can't believe I have to say this, but at no point in the movie is it even hinted at that Holdo is a lesbian. Just because she has pink hair, again, in a galaxy with millions of different cultures, races, and practices, his natural response is to call her a lesbian. You see, us straight white men, we love lesbians. You ever heard of lesbian porn? Oh yeah, we love that shit. Straight porn just doesn't do it for us. Looking at another man's dick is gay. Double the titties, double the fun. But oh my god, if these SJWs don't stop pushing this lesbian narrative with their colorful hairstyles and dominance over men, then I swear to the Lord that I will eradicate every one of them. I seriously have no fucking clue how he ever came to the conclusion that Holdo is a lesbian, and especially with Leia. Like, sure, Holdo could be a lesbian. We don't know, it's never talked about. But not with Leia. She's married to a dead man, but she's still married. They're friends. They hold hands because Holdo is about to sacrifice herself. I'm sorry if holding hands is too gay for you. I honestly pity any person in your life.
Next, let's talk about the Casino Planet, which is populated by evil capitalists who made money buying, selling, and working with the First Order, I believe. The capitalists are all portrayed as these smug, lavish, gluttonous types who want to spend their days just hanging out in a casino, gambling and smoking and drinking and giving in to all their vices. They'll also do anything for a buck, like collaborating with the Nazi First Order. I've already mentioned how the whole casino bit turned out to be pretty pointless, but there are a few other social justice parts in there, like this.
Yes, Canto Bight shows the rich elite. They're gluttonous. People like this exist in real life, and some of them make their money off of war, sometimes even both sides of the war. Canto Bight is probably the only part of this movie that has any political undertones, and it's so minor. I'm not defending Canto Bight as a sequence. I believe it has its problems, but it has nothing to do with SJW politics. The whole theme of excessive wealth that comes from exploitation being bad is a concept that has appeared in like 50% of movies since they started making movies.
And also there's the part where Finn and Rose free those animals from their cages, even though they'll likely get recaptured in minutes. I know it's a diversion, but there are plenty of human captors and slaves there on the planet that could have helped out, but hey, let's risk the whole resistance for some gay animals. Rose must be a vegan or some shit, but hey, let's risk the whole resistance for some gay animals. Rose must be a vegan or some shit.
I don't think it makes any sense for me at this point to try and explain why he's wrong, cause what the fuck? Let's instead just laugh at this absurdity together.
And the last bit of SJW-isms is this. We turn to the ongoing theme of letting the past die, which appears to be so progressive, PC, multicultural politics can take over. Luke displays this theme the most.
Bro, Luke is wrong. That's the point of his arc in this movie. He wants to destroy the past because of the corruption that plagued the Jedi and the way he failed just like they did. But by the end, he realizes that instead of destroying the past, we can learn from it. We can try to be better. He keeps saying that Rian Johnson's motive with this movie was to destroy everything Star Wars once was. It even shows a clip from the trailer where Kylo is talking about letting go of the past and destroying it. But again, he's the villain of the story. He's not supposed to be right. The theme in this movie of whether to let go of the past or move on is so much more nuanced than just that. At the end, most of the characters learn from their mistakes, and they grow because of it. The only significant character who doesn't is Kylo fucking Ren. Anyways, that was all I had for today. I think I've lost more brain cells writing this script than I have from all the other times my brother chokeslammed me through a table pretending to be in the WWE put together. I truly don't understand this guy's line of thought. Like, it would be so much better for everyone if he just reviewed the movie like a non-insane person. For all I care, he can bash it as much as he wants, that's up to him, but I just don't see how he could possibly interpret this movie as SJW propaganda, and his arguments aren't even slightly valid. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. For the past couple of videos, I've started responding to specific videos instead of these overview type videos that I usually make, and I do enjoy it because it allows my videos to retain a deeper focus, and it allows me to show more of the content in question, which some of you guys have asked me to. Let me know if you like these single response type videos down below, and also if you want me to make more videos on no bullshit. He has a wide variety of these SJW moments videos, and they're all almost equally bad. So yeah, let me know. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day, stay safe, and peace out.